Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really wild, real-world mystery. It's a puzzle that scientists and philosophers have literally wrestled with for centuries. I mean, how exactly does science manage to study something it can't even see? So today, we're playing detective. We're going to decode the ultimate enigma, the human mind, by looking at the only clues it leaves behind. Let's jump right in.
Seriously, has anyone ever actually seen a mind? Think about it, like a detective rolling up to a classic locked room mystery. You know for a fact something happened inside, but the door is completely deadbolted from the inside. Nobody has ever actually seen a feeling, right? You can't capture a thought in a glass jar, and you definitely can't put an attitude on a laboratory scale. The mind itself is stubbornly, completely invisible. And you can see how this presents a massive roadblock if you're trying to build a rigorous, evidence-based science around it. How in the world do you study what absolutely refuses to be seen?
Section 1. The Invisible Mind.
So we've got a really stark contrast here. On one hand, the mind holds our thoughts, our deepest feelings, our hidden attitudes, but it is entirely private. It's locked away from the outside world. But behavior? That is the tangible, physical evidence left behind. We're talking about our observable actions, our measurable steps, the actual words we speak out loud. When you compare the mind directly to behavior, you quickly realize that science needs data. Science demands proof. And since that invisible mind won't give us direct access, well, we are forced to become absolute masters of observable behavior.
Moving on to Section 2, defining observable behavior. Which brings us to a pretty crucial definition. Behavior is absolutely anything done by a person or an animal that we can actually observe in some way. Now that sounds incredibly broad, and honestly it is. It's the blink of an eye, it's the wagging of a dog's tail, or even just the way you might subconsciously tap your foot when you're super bored. Basically, if it's an action that happens in the physical world and can be witnessed by another person or even a machine, it counts as behavior. It is the literal footprint left by the invisible mind.
And unlike our hidden thoughts, behavior actually gives us hard scientific evidence. It can be observed by multiple people, which ensures it really happened. It can be recorded on video or paper, giving us a permanent record to look back at. And crucially, it can be measured. How fast did someone run? How many times did they blink? How loud did they shout? Because of these things, it can actually be studied scientifically. It takes all the fuzzy guesswork right out of the equation and replaces it with solid, undeniable data.
Now, people often overlook a major detail here. Behavior isn't just physical movement, like running or jumping. What a person says is incredibly vital. Your words are vocal clues. When we hear and record what a person says, we're capturing behavior just as much as if we were tracking their footsteps in the mud. A sigh, a shout, a whispered secret, these are acoustic footprints. They are actual physical sound waves entering the real world, carrying hidden messages straight out of that locked room.
All right, Section 3, making the inference. So here is the scientific method actually in action. Imagine someone forcefully slams a door and then yells, "I'm perfectly fine." Well, we observe the physical action, we record the vocal behavior, and despite what they just claimed, we can easily deduce their internal reality. They are furious or at least really frustrated. We are actively using the visible to decode the invisible.
It really boils down to this one simple truth. We can't see the mind, but we can see behavior. By rigorously observing what is done and what is said, psychologists can confidently piece together the feelings, the attitudes, and the mental processes that are operating behind the scenes. Behavior is kind of like the ultimate lie detector. It's the ultimate window into the human experience, provided you actually know how to look at it.
Section 4, the true science.
There's this really common misconception that if you define psychology simply as the science of behavior, you're somehow coldly ignoring the human soul, the mind, and our rich inner lives. But that is completely false. Defining it this way does not exclude the mind at all. It's really just a practical acknowledgement of reality. It means we absolutely are studying internal mental events, but we're utilizing behavior as our only rigorous scientific pathway to actually reach them. We care deeply about what's inside that locked room. We just know we have to study the shadows slipping under the door to figure it out.
There's a really powerful quote from the source material that sums this up perfectly. Quote, "What a person does, his or her behavior, is the avenue through which internal mental events can be studied." End quote. Think about that word for a second, avenue. An avenue is a road, right? It's a pathway that gets you from where you are to where you want to be. Our actions, our habits, our nervous tics, our joyful shouts, they are simply the physical avenues that allow our otherwise completely hidden internal mental processes to travel out into the real world.
Before we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, kind of provocative thought. Consider your own actions today. The way you walked, the tone of your voice when you maybe ordered your morning coffee, heck, even the way you're sitting right now watching this. If a scientific detective were following you around, meticulously observing your physical and vocal behavior, what inferences would they make about you? What physical clues are you leaving behind right now? And what do they really reveal about the invisible workings of your mind? Thanks so much for joining me on this little investigation. Until next time, keep observing.